Hello, you cosmic soldiers, warriors. How are you diddling? I'm going to talk today about something quite ephemeral, quite spiritual. And it's about the contract that we have before we come here. And just some things that are kind of these ideas that have been coming to mind based on all of the work that I've done in hypnosis with people, etc., and therapies, etc. I'll share it with you on the other side. So the other day I was working with a lovely lady called Ginter. Hello Ginter, I don't know if you'll get to see this video. And we were doing some processes in hypnosis and we were going off to in between lives and stuff like that. And there was a point where I asked if she could access the Akashic records so that she could see, because she wanted to see where she'd signed that contract. She said, I want to see my signature on that bloody contract, because if I'm here and, you know, I'm here and I'm going through all of this, I want to at least know that I agree to be here. So I was thinking, the Akashic records. And I said, can you ask somebody if you can be taken to the Akashic records to see your signature? And she said, no, I'm not allowed to see those. Okay. And it got me thinking about all of the experiences that I've had with clients in hypnosis and my experiences too. I've been to the Akashic records in hypnosis. There was a big book on a table and I turned the pages, and as I was looking at the pages, all the information about my life was being written and I could read it. And each page that I turned, it was written. So I had access. I know loads of people who've accessed the Akashic records, but some people can't. I have helped people to go and talk to God by going in between lives. And I've had people who say, no, I'm not allowed to go up there. I'm not allowed. I've got to be here. I've got to stay here. And so I get all of this, like, yes, we can do that. No, we can't. Can you meet your soul group? Yes, they're all here. We're laughing and joking. Can you meet your soul group? No. And I think, what's that about? Well, I've been the more I do it, the more I'm getting this idea about what that's about. So the premise is this. And this is just a premise, but it's like a working idea for me. And the emissaries have kind of verified this in many ways by what they say. We write our plan before we come here. The contract is signed before we come here. That plan is interlinked the complexity of it is just mind-blowing because of all of the interactions that we have with other beings. However, we're talking about God here, so if he can make all of this, he can do a plan as well, even if it's a bit complex. So this plan we choose before we come here. So it's on that side that free will is exerted. That's where we have free will. Because once we come here, we don't have any choice but to follow our plan, our contract. And the idea of the plan is that we want, this is how I see it, because this is what I see over and over again. We plan in some trauma when we're kids, we plan that in. And then the idea is that we spend the rest of our lives working through that trauma and learning the lessons that we need to learn that will help us to be a better soul. Yeah. What I also see is this. We have like a default mechanism, which is we have the trauma, and I don't believe, and these are all just premises, by the way, but it's just a pattern that I see. I don't believe that we are designed to immediately overcome the trauma as children. I think the children period is where we're supposed to experience it. And then from 20 years onwards, our job is to try and overcome that, to get well. And I don't think that we're very successful in our 20s, nor in our 30s. typically. And so what I see happening is that we have these default mechanisms that go in. We have a person that comes into our life that triggers off the trauma, and we're supposed to learn from that. Like, no, I've lived this, I'm not living it anymore. You know, bad partner, bully boss, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And then we're given the first opportunity to learn that lesson. And then normally we don't. And so we've got these other default experiences written into the plan. As soon as we do learn the lesson, they stop. They stop coming in. That's why somebody who's bullied as a child, then they're going to work and they get bullied, and then they get married to somebody and they get bullied, and the next door neighbour's a bully, until they stop. And then no more bullies come in. Okay? But we've got it written in, and I think until the very end, there will be that repeated lesson. Yeah? A woman is abused, and then she gets an abusive boyfriend, and she leaves that one, and she gets an abusive husband, and she leaves that one, until she learns no more. Okay? So that's how I see the plan. So the free will isn't in this life. That's why we all talk about, you know, coincidences happening. It seems unusual that this happens. We look at our life and we go, well, it looks like a bloody plan to me. You know, why all of that happened. Now I see why it happened. Okay? So that's how I see it. And then that answers to me why it is that when I take people in hypnosis, I guide them to that other side. Sometimes they can do things and sometimes they can't. And what I believe, and this is what I've, with all the work I've done with the higher self can only act according to what you have written into the plan. So if you have written into the plan, and during this one, I must not be able to access the Akashic records. During this one, I must not be able to become aware of my soul group. You know, why would we do that? And the higher self said, well, that's it then. No, that's what you've written into the plan. I can't change it. Why would we do that? Well, I think that depending on who we are, depending on the soul that we are, and depending on the experience that we are, we choose the level of difficulty. You know, when you go into a video game, you can choose, you know, beginner, medium, advanced, like maniac level. And I think that we choose the level of difficulty. And therefore, if we can't access that other realm, you know, if we have a really difficult life, and we feel that we're just completely abandoned, forlorn, yeah, forsaken by God, then I think that's what we've written in. So that, because we wanted to have a hard one, you know, we wanted to have a tough one. Why would we do that? Because it's a shortcut. It's a shortcut to, it's like, you know, getting a boost. Like, I'm going to do the hardest one, and I'm going to get more points, and it's going to, and not that it's a competition, but I think some people say, no, I want to really, really go for it. Why? Because we want to bring glory to God. And by having these experiences, we are improving ourselves and therefore improving God. So I think now when I see it, that's kind of how I see it. Why people repeat the same lessons over and over again. Why some people have exceedingly difficult lives. Exceedingly difficult. And you know, there's an expression that we use in the UK. When you see somebody who's doing something and they're having a hard time, we say, you'll get your rewards in heaven. I don't think that's by mistake that we say that. Like, some people have very, very difficult lives. Other people not. Some people come into this world and sail through the life, are happy, have a beautiful relationship, great job, have the kids, and nothing happens. That's what they've written in. Who knows? Maybe the life before they had a shit one. Maybe the life before they had the worst thing you could possibly imagine. And they say, this time thank you very much. I'm just going to have a nice time. Would that be all right? And God will be there going, yes, because the other one, wow, it was a whopper. You have a nice time this time. So, you know, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. And there's no better or worse. We choose what we want to have based on the growth that we want, based on how we feel, how strong we feel, how tired we might be. I know we talked about this a long while ago, right at the beginning, about not some people saying, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. So maybe the next time, maybe you'll just write a nice plan. A plan where it's just going to flow and everything's going to be nice. And you can have a breather. Yeah. You still get brownie points just for coming here. For coming here, I reckon that you get at least 10 brownie points just for stepping onto planet Earth, because in and of itself, it's a twat. But obviously, the more, what are they? No pain, no gain. The more it hurts, the faster you move forward. That's the feeling that I get. However, you know, it took me until I was 40 to start actually learning the lessons that I had to learn. And I see that as a pattern such a lot. You know, rarely do you see somebody in their 20s saying, I've got my life sorted out now, I know exactly what I am. They think that, they say that, God knows I did, but it's not true. It's not true. So there you have it. What kind of life have you chosen? And what do you think? Does that resonate with you? Or do you think, no, that doesn't sound right to me? But what kind of life did you write? Did you write a tough one? Did you write a smooth one? Yeah. Did it start off tough and then became smooth? My life's like that. My life was a disaster. A disaster. And now it's absolutely fucking gorgeous. So obviously what I wanted to do is get it all done. Let's have it done in the first half. And then in the second half, when I meet my beautiful wife, you know, and start my second half of my life, it's going to be beautiful. There you are. You know, we probably, and we laugh about this, we probably had an agreement, my wife and I, because she's 20 years younger than me, up in heaven saying, and she was saying, look, I don't want to go through all of that. And I'd say, well, I do, I've got some work I need to do. And she'd say, well, you go, you have 20 years, get it out of your system. And then I'll come, well, it'll be 40 years before we meet. Then I'll come and then we'll have a nice life. That seems to be the way that it worked. So she came down. She had a bit of a rough start, you know, tough start with me because I was still getting through all of my shit. But then I sorted myself out and it's been okay. So who knows? What's your life story like? What did you write? I'll be interested to hear your comments. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.